really feel is how your trading is going to be for the rest of this month. And I'm not just saying with that statement. We're going to talk about why the market could top out today. Let's put a little date there, September. And you guys know I don't really ever talk like this, but we're going to explain why. We're going to show statistical evidence. We're going to show technical evidence. We're going to show the fear element, the psychological factors between the market which could induce this move. And then we're just going to take it from there. It's been something that a lot of analysts have been talking about for a while now within this market. We've been all looking, when is the top? Are we just going to go up forever? Now we have a small down day. I don't even think this is considered a correction by, Q's down 40 cents. It's definitely one of the bigger down days we've been having, but take a look at your spiders. Up 17 cents today. So the spider's still remaining green. You could argue a lot of bullishness overall still for this market. You have names like Apple obviously dragging the Qs down. And all of a sudden, yesterday, you guys heard me talking and putting a date on when this top out would occur. The date I put on it was by the Monday following next week, which would be September 15th. However, it was between now and then. Now I'm going to be a little more specific. I think this is the top of the market here, at least in terms of, the triple Qs, probably the spiders as well. But I do put a very main focus here on the triple Qs. So we were talking recently about the psychological damage done to the market. Russia is doing nuke exercises. They're practicing dummy warheads to fire nukes off. And we did have that huge fear factor as just under 3,000 people were killed in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. We had the Israel-Gazan conflict where approximately 2,300 people were killed. Of course, we have the Syria war, which over 100,000 people were killed. And nobody wants to give estimates of the slaughtering done by ISIS militia, which, some people say it's over 20,000, some people say 5, as we don't really have any real figures there, as it just seems like Murphy's Law really came into effect. And what is Murphy's Law? Basically, Murphy's Law says in English that anything bad that can happen will happen all at once. It'll happen simultaneously before it gets better again, at least. And taking a look at this, we were talking about the fear factor in the market being very high. And we were talking about, this potentially having a huge negative impact on the stock market to potentially end this tremendous bullish run that we've been having. Now I'm going to make a call today, and that call is that we did top out today. And I do put time frames. I never generalize like the analyst on CNBC. I never give two answers. Oh, well, I think we could top out here, but if the earnings stay solid and strong, we could head higher. No. You guys didn't come to listen to that. That's why people subscribe to their cable networks for CNBC. And why could the market could top out today? And I'm going to bet on this. Nobody could say with 100% anything in this market. But why am I betting on the market topping out today? And what factors am I looking for in this market? The psychological cup has topped out. Ebola, wars, uncertainty is now at a high. And one of the ways we identified the psychological cup topping out was simply the fact that all these scare stocks have been rallying. Why, you think suddenly everybody wants digital cameras? I could just take my headband here, take my phone, and just, strap this to my face. And I sort of have, a digital eye camera that could follow me everywhere I go and see everything. But my question for you guys is, why is everybody buying these cameras all of a sudden? Where did this come from? Did you go out and buy a new camera today? No. It was an event that happened in Ferguson, Missouri in the United States where an African American male was shot by a Caucasian male. And that alone increased the value of these companies by billions of dollars. Yes, that had billions of dollars worth of impact on the market. Ironically, a positive impact on the market. So we see people flowing within these danger stocks like GoPro. Here's GPro before the incident, trading around $38. And here's GPro today, approximately $20 higher after the incident. Stocks like Digital Ally, even being down 782 today, basically went from $3.50 all the way to $33, basically went up 10 times in value, approximately. Names like Mobileye, things that really don't even have much to do with cops wearing cameras. Look at this Mobileye move from 31 all the way to 49 today, going up 50% in value. And if you look statistically across the market, when these little defense names started moving, the market plummeted. So forget about even cops wearing cameras now. How about non-lethal force? The African American male was shot by the police officer using a Glock, a standard issued police Glock. Non-lethal force suddenly comes into play. Look at Taser, who based their entire business on non-lethal force, having a move from $10.50 to $18.24 today. That's not a bad move at all, as you do see people buying up the disaster names. Could have we used things like this in the past to predict the market going down and topping out? Okay, let's look at Taser at the end of 2007 on the weekly, trading at 1910. And through 2007, 2008, and 2009, you saw Taser basically go from $19.10 all the way to $2.50. Talk about a down move. What did the Qs do at the end of 2007 during the same time that Taser was trading at $19.10? And right over here, I could show you right on the daily. Here's the end of 2007 for the Qs. And if you decided to short the market as a whole, you would have looked like a super genius. The same thing is happening again here. So number one reason, and I give my reasonings, I don't just come out on CNBC. No, I have 45 seconds to a minute and a half of airtime. I spew my BS out of my mouth into the world markets, and I sit there with my fingers crossing, knowing that if I'm wrong, nobody holds it against me, but if I'm right, I could get called back on CNBC to utter my stupidity coming out of my mouth again. Nobody gives reasons on CNBC, do they? That changes here in Wall Street Trading Room. We do give reasons. The psychological cup has topped out. We can't sustain this psychological abuse anymore. You ever hear about the kind person, whatever, and one day he or she snaps? This is where I feel the market snaps. So statistically, when people start buying these fear stocks, and I do consider police wearing mobile cameras a fear play, nobody wants to see another Ferguson, Missouri incident. So the cops are literally defending themselves out of fear. They're wearing cameras not because they want to go home to their wife and kids and say, hey, honey, this was my day at work today. Come check it out. We could put it on the big screen TV and sit on the couch and eat a TV dinner. It was never about that. It was about protecting themselves. God forbid the worst case scenarios were to happen. So the psychological cup has topped out. Technicals. Well, we pride ourselves on technical analysis here. How about technically for the triple Qs? Is there anything we could look at within the triple Qs that say, yes, we have topped out? How about this ascending resistance line? I'll take you to the daily. Bearish engulfing bars by the ascending resistance line. Does that mean we should pull down? Have we ever had a bearish engulfing candle on this resistance line prior? And did it happen? What happened off this line? And what was the market reaction going forward from there? I'm going to take you back, not too far back. It was a time where Lynn was, 21 years old. We're going to go right back here to March of this year. Oh my goodness, there's a bearish engulfing bar on March 7th, right over here. If you want to take a look at the triple Qs and see what we did off this resistance line before, after we put in a bearish engulfing candle, March 7th was the last time we did that. We put in a bearish engulfing candle and take a look at how the market acted afterwards. For the entire month of March, we were practically pulling in all the way to the midway point of April. The Qs, after putting in that bearish engulfing bar on March 7th, closed at 90.53, and into the next month and a half, went all the way down to 83.28. The Qs dropped $7.20, or close to 8.36%, if my math doesn't evade me. This has happened before. This has happened before this year. We put in a bearish engulfing bar right at the day highs. Oh, rather the multi-year highs here, just like we did on March 7th. We hit this ascending resistance line, and it was nothing but down moves. I mean, of course, there are green bars in between, and there are red bars in between always, but it was practically nothing but down moves going forward. So from a technical standpoint, are you telling me that today doesn't look like March 7th? It absolutely looks like today. It's hitting the same exact line in which we fell from before. So we do have technicals as well. So we have a psychological top out, which we could see with the fear stocks. We have a technical top out that we could use on our chart. Is there anything else that you would need here? Well, we've already admitted that we don't have a full answer for ISIS. It would require ground operations by several countries due to the fact that they are operating in several countries. Can they do harm? I'm going to say absolutely. They already have. And what goes on from here? We also have, the Ebola virus. If you want to go back to the first point I made, stocks like Techmira. You think Techmira was happy that Ebola broke out? I hate to even insinuate that there are companies that are happy that these diseases progressed. But I hate to sound logical here. If you were making an AIDS vaccine and there was a tremendous HIV breakout in the world, that would be extremely bullish for your company. Do you guys remember the H1N1 stocks? Do you guys remember the stocks that were made to fight the swine flu? Well, those stocks are also near their highs now. NVAX, thank you. Novavax, perfect example. And you could see right here how Novavax was shooting up and then pulled down, right? Novavax is sort of doing that again. It is in a higher end of the range here than lower end of the range compared to all-time lows and all-time highs, even though it's only at $4.80. But what you do see here are these fear stocks that have been acting bullishly based on what one should argue should be disastrous news for the planet in general. An Ebola breakout, wars happening around, ISIS trying to start a caliphate, which is their way of saying that they want the land to be claimed in their name, and I'll let you look into that. But the point being, today, it just happened to coincide perfectly. If you even go to Drudge Report, what is the first thing you see? American military drills in Ukraine and a Russian nuke exercise. Here, I'll show you. You don't have to go there yourself. Here you go. I highlighted it for you. That's the top headline. So what we do see is we do see a fear top out, and we do see a technical top out. As a result of these things in combination with each other, I am calling out the top out of the market today. I'll define it in English, unlike every CNBC analyst today. We will not break today's highs in the triple Qs for the rest of the month. The month just started. I'm not talking about 3-4 days here. I'm not saying we won't have up moves in between. But what I am saying is, I personally, I haven't passed the 65 yet, so I can't really legally give investment financial advice. I must use the verbiage, it is of my opinion. It is of my opinion that you can have a fabulous risk reward. And again, I'm not giving advice to anyone here, but it is my opinion that you can have fabulous risk reward to the downside, and today is the day it starts. Let's talk about some other factors that could help today. I'm going to say 2A, and I'm going to add on to the technical aspect of everything that's going on. What would be the strongest bearish engulfing bar if we could close below yesterday's lows? 99.66, we're at 99.70 at the moment. That's going to add to my conviction. So, added conviction if we close below 99.66. Now that doesn't mean that's the only way I feel the market will go down. It's just going to literally add to the size of my positions to the short side. That's all. So I know I was saying between now and next Monday. I still think that's true because I think that now is still now. And to answer that very plainly, this is the top of the market in my humble technical opinion. This is the point where the market will not be able to hold up anymore. This is the point where we have a very high probability to gap down tomorrow. This is the point where I start looking at VIX calls again. This is the point where I start looking at stocks to break ascending support and hold below those levels as opposed to bouncing off them. Like, for example, that British Petroleum did beautifully today, right? So when I look at all these things in conjunction with each other, I really feel this could be that perfect point of time where the market does sink through. I do believe this is the top of the market. I'm not going to come out like those CNBC analysts, these same analysts who were out a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, calling for a market top, just hoping it comes eventually. I'm trying to time it because that's how we profit off it here in Wall Street Trading Room. So it is a very bold goal for me. And there's great news. You're going to make a lot more money with intraday trading than you would normally. When you have a short position work, you're going to make a lot more money than you would if you had a long position work. And we all know that from experience. It's really far from an opinion. So when you look at this market here, where can we go? Well, where can we go from here? I would say between now and the midpoint of October. Now, I'm going to extend my analysis further. Between now and the midpoint of October, these cues could get right down to 91, 91 and a half, 92 bucks. Would you consider that a big down move? Sure. So I think you get excited about this because when the market tops out, the market would obviously head down. And if what I am saying comes into fruition, I believe there's going to be a ton of opportunity to capitalize on this market to the downside. We see bear flags working all of a sudden. Apple, perfect calls here in Apple today. Really. Phenomenal calls in Apple. And we saw this Apple, after bouncing up here to 101.11, putting in that little shooting star bar on decreased volume, and we knew that this Apple could plummet. Well, we knew. We bet on it, and it worked. Knowing something is a very hard word to throw around carelessly. But what I am going to do is I am going to be looking for short opportunities. I am going to be looking at things like the VIX calls. I think today is a perfect day to bet on Q's puts, spiders puts going a month, 2 months out. I think you do something like that. You bet a certain amount of money. If you're able to hold it, you can have a ton of conviction. How about this Blythe breaking out today? Bill Tango Harry, up 38%. And what you're going to notice in a market like this is the callouts we make to the short side when something is resolving is going to pay you a lot more money than to the long side when something resolves. Good example of that today was Mobileye, when we called the resolution perfectly on this 5-minute candle here, right? On the 1040 to 1045 candle. Had you played, that, you would have caught a very nice move in the Mobileye, and you catch these little scalps for now. But what I'm telling you is you're going to see a lot of this fear factor coming in. Russia and Ukraine still don't have any solution. There really is no solution to Russia. And unfortunately, when they're doing nuclear tests right now, and they're not doing it for their nuclear reactors, I mean, it's public information. I believe that's what it's going to take for this fear factor, this fear cup, if you will, to spill over. And given the bearish engulfing bar and the triple Qs coincidentally off ascending resistance, we have the technical conviction as well. So I will be looking for my best short opportunities. We will be disclosing that to you guys at 3:30. And I hope you guys did enjoy this live webcast presentation. And if any of you guys have any questions at all or stocks you would like broken down, now would be that time to